Amino acid sprayed, then it snowed 2 hours later. I think the timing was perfect. After spraying, there's almost no cold damage overall. Please introduce your farm. I live in Boeun, North Chungcheong. My name is Park Hee-moon. I'm in my 40s. In my case, I started as a successor farmer, and now that my father has passed away, I'm managing the entire operation by myself. This field, about 1,700 pyong, uses ichishiki. Also, I have about 2 more plots using spindle or other tree training systems, plus 1 for future planting. So, you only grow apples? I farm rice, beans, fruit trees. Rice takes about 12,000 square meters. These trees planted here are the Miyabi apple variety. They're Fuji variety. Counting the replanted dead ones, I have 4, 5, and 1-year-old trees. I'm still learning a lot, but from what I've seen and learned at the Master Farmer program, trees typically begin to bear fruit around their 3rd year. After that, if you don't manage their shape and sap flow, they'll become uncontrollable later. So, I'm doing my best to apply that knowledge now. You mentioned using Huso Amino for cold damage prevention. In Boeun, many are familiar with their products, and I happened to try it by chance. Last year, I used it on my paddy fields, and this year, on my orchard. On March 29th, 2 hours after spraying amino acids, it snowed. In a way, I feel the timing was perfect. I sprayed about 4 times in total. How often did you spray? I timed mine for when the temperature dropped to 0, 1, or 2 degrees Celsius, spraying continuously every 3 or 4 days. After spraying, whether it was luck or not, the temperature plummeted. You didn't use it before it got cold? For cold damage, amino acids and boron are mixed. I sprayed that twice. So, how were the results? After spraying, it seems there's almost no cold damage overall. On March 29th, the flower buds in this area were close to the balloon stage, about to swell when it snowed. They say snow might have an insulating effect, but you never really know for sure. So from that perspective, I guess it wasn't a bad thing. First time with Huso Amino? Last year rice? This year just the orchard. I was also quite satisfied with the results on my paddy fields, and now the flower stalks have grown longer, so among the fruits that have set, many have these long stems. Even now, all fruit growers struggle with fire blight, and since there's no cure, it's either prevention or managing my orchard myself. I'm a bit reluctant to have outsiders come in, and with workers, they move around to many places, so you never know what could happen. That's something I need to be careful about. They didn't redden last year. Temperatures stayed high. I learned a large diurnal temperature range was essential for good sugar content and coloring, but it was hot last year, even after Chuseok. That's why it seemed to drag on a bit, and unnoticeably, the humidity must have also played a role. Is there a reason for this? In this case, I have attached many weights. I'm letting the trees bear fruit, so I'm attaching weights to manage their vigor and hoping to encourage more flower buds. That's also part of it. As I'm still in the learning phase, I can't say if this is right or wrong. And there are so many people who know much more than I do. To put it simply, it seems the tree thinks it has to bear apples when its branches are pulled down. I could be mistaken, but I've been told that adding weights helps stabilize the tree and promotes the formation of flower buds. As I am still in the learning phase, there is no definitive answer. No single right answer. Farming requires constant study. You must study pesticides and trees constantly. Don't just blindly follow advice like, this is good, or that is good. Especially with pesticides, know what you're using, their active ingredients, if they're compatible with the next application, and if they're within permitted residual limits, like PLS. You must study if things like that are registered or not. You have to learn it all. It's no longer simply about just spraying chemicals and harvesting. With CHATGPT, you take a photo and it identifies the disease, pest, and issue. Things have greatly improved. Is it easy for beginners? If I had started farming with nothing, fruit trees would have been impossible for sure. First, tree costs and facility setup are major expenses. This 1.4-acre plot, if you were to do pest control the old way, lugging a spray tank, would completely wear you out. For pest control and weed management, you can't just spray manually or use a weed whacker for everything. Even with rental centers, getting equipment when you need it is hard, making initial investment costs too high. Even with early fruit, it's almost 3 years of just investment. So, for paddy, livestock and fruit farming, the entry barriers are incredibly high. You work for your earnings, but after material and equipment costs, once everything's deducted, there's not much left. You plant those thin trees, and then how you grow and shape trees and plan their development varies greatly by individual. There's no one way to grow them. I minimized outside help and did it all myself. Material costs are the same, so it's a battle over labor costs, just like the elders always said. Many say, if I've nothing else, I'll farm. But farming takes real smarts. You must adapt and think for the situation. Sticking to the book makes things hard. I don't have just one fixed sales channel. Sometimes I sell retail, other times to friends, and also to wholesalers. It's a mix of methods. As for online stores, honestly, I'm not a big fan. To be frank, there are too many difficult customers. I'd rather just avoid doing that. With deliveries, you have to pack orders daily, and I'm just not skilled at it. I've heard stories of people receiving a box of 10 apples, eating 2, then claiming they're bad, and demanding a refund. In this day and age, you can't refuse such requests. From what I've seen and learned, the more you visit, check, and care for your apples, the better they become. Be it a paddy or a field, they've always said the farmer's footsteps nurture crops, affecting their growth. I think that's true. The more you check on them, whether once or twice, the easier it is to monitor their condition and respond promptly. When I first started this, I knew everyone around since I was born, raised, and grew up here. So I just went and asked them. I'd ask, observe, inquire how. Constantly learning, searching, studying. There's no fixed method. You must just learn. It's tough if you don't study and learn. Even now, new methods come out every year. Cultivation techniques change, and new technologies emerge. So I don't think there's any one right way to do things. Of course, even if I try my best, others might say, why does he farm like that? I'm sure they could, but if you work hard, you'll eventually see results. However, if the weather doesn't cooperate, there's nothing to be done.